everyone and welcome to today's video of Odyssey, the Invention of Science. Now I came across this game quite a while ago. I've been meaning to play it on the channel and I have no idea or like anything about it. All I know is that right now on the menu this looks beautiful. From what I'm aware, it's a bit like I believe it's a survival game. Sorry, couldn't English for a second there. It's a survival game, but I think what you're doing is you're going through like the basis of like finding things about science and stuff. I think that's what it is. Wow, look at this. This is gorgeous. I love how the water looks. It looks really like realistic, clear.
Mayday! 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 This is a distress call from the wretched islands. We got attacked by sailors. They think there's actual buried treasure here, and they sunk our boat to force us to find it. Our radio is barely working, so if you can hear me, that means you're close. Please don't leave to find help. There's no time. Come pick us up yourself. Now, please, listen carefully. This is really important. There are lots of little islands, but you have to dock at the pier on the east side of Wretched Minor. Don't try to land anywhere else or you'll crash. And we can't meet you at the pier. We won't know you're there, and those sailors are coming back, so we're hiding. We made a lot of barricades to protect ourselves, but we designed them for someone to get through. I could tell the sailors weren't very clever and didn't care about science, but you'll be able to figure it out. You'll see what I mean when you get here. I really hope someone's out there listening to this recording. All the obstacles we made won't keep those sailors away forever, and when they find us and see we haven't found any treasure, not the kind they want anyway, I don't want to think about what'll happen. But if you're listening to me now, that means the radio still has enough juice to transmit, so there's probably still time, but if you don't get us off these wretched islands, and soon, no one will.
I know nothing about this game. I think... Oh, that's a bit weird. I think... Oh, hello. Okay. Okay, finally it sorted itself out. Is there a jump button? Nope. So where am I going? Look how pretty this is! This is gorgeous! Okay. What's down here? Can I swim? Am I allowed to swim? Nope! There's a railing. There's an invisible railing. Can I run? Ah, yes, tab button, as usual. Hello. North. Oh, damn froze. Infantry. Ah, right. What can I do? So there's a bit of lag. Okay, expedition to the Wretched Islands by Rayo, age 13. July 1st, 8:45 p.m. I got stuck for a second. Now that we're about to begin our Odyssey, Dad wants me to start a journal to record what I learn and everything that happens. Both my parents are university professors, so even summer vacation for me and my 15-year-old brother, Sid, is like school. It's fun though, especially this summer, because my classroom won't have walls and it's in the Caribbean. Dad, Sid and Mum. Nice. Dad's an archaeologist and he's wanted to visit the Wretched Islands for years, but it's illegal, for lots of reasons. From endangered species to volcanic activity to deadly coastlines, and it's hard to get to since it's surrounded by jagged rocks. Dad finally got permission and we're going there to do some preliminary I think that's how I pronounce it, work before bringing his army of grad students. We flew here to Montanique 4 days ago to rent a boat, get supplies and pick up our guide Gilliam. His real job is being a fisherman, but a year ago he got shipwrecked on the Wretched Islands and somehow survived it and lived there for a week until a helicopter saw smoke from his campfire. It made the news since he's the only person who's been on the islands in decades, so Dad asked him to come with us and he agreed. Dad says it's an unusual site because it has so many layers. For hundreds of years, island Caribs lived there, till one day in the late 1600s, pirates came with guns. They took over and set up a base for decades before being driven out by the Royal Navy. The islands were left alone and until the US Army built an outpost there in World War II, mainly as a lookout. Then it got protected status and it's been off limits ever since. Wow, this is going to be a while. There's going to be a lot of reading. Except for us now, when we get there, we're sleeping on the boat so we can just wake up and go at like 4 in the morning. Both the wind and current are against us, so it will take a few days even using the motor. Until then, we're looking at photos of the islands from aeroplanes and satellites. Dad doesn't look at them with us. He's already looked at them hundreds of times. July the 3rd, 6:30 p.m. The wind was high and the waves were choppy most of the past couple of days, but when the sun set, everything calmed. Gilliam is good with boats, so Dad's letting him do most of the driving. He's also doing most of the eating, which is usually Sid's job, but he seems happy to let Gilliam do that too. Of course he's good at doing boats, because he's a bloody fisherman. Your logic. Sitting on the bow with my legs dangling... Bow? That says bow. Sitting on the bow with my legs dangling off the edge, Sid came and sat with me. He pointed out how flat the ocean looked. He said he could see why people got laughed at thousands of years ago for saying the world was round. We're in the city... You know what, lately... This is a bit of a side note. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of the flat world versus round world recently, and I don't know why that's come back. When you're in the city or the mountains, you can't tell by looking around what shape the whole world is. We take it for granted today that the air is a sphere. But Sid's right. Here in the ocean, it looks like it's completely flat and goes on forever. Why did anyone back then ever think it wasn't? I mean, how could they figure it out without inventing planes and rockets or even ships to go around the world and see for themselves? Mum and Dad were behind us, listening. Mum said she bet I could figure it out, but she always says stuff like that. I asked her how, and she just laughed and said she's the construction crew. Yeah. Dad's in charge of the historical mysteries. It's true she's a civil engineer, but she knows more science than anyone I know. But Dad always knows history, so maybe she's right, and that he'd be more help on this one. I asked him how people figured out the Earth isn't flat and doesn't go off to infinity in all directions. He just smiled and said, "Keep your eyes open and your brain in gear." July the 4th, 6:15 p.m. There is a lot of reading. Land ho. We can see the wretched islands, though not all of them. If we had fireworks, I'd set them off to celebrate seeing land and because it's the 4th of July. Huh? We do have a lot of cool equipment and supplies, but nothing like that. I'm documenting the trip with my camera, too. My friends think it's funny that I have a digital camera, not just my phone, but my phone cameras aren't good at taking photos of things far away. We know we're in the right place because our GPS tells us where we are. We have 5 kilometers out. We drop at anchor for the night. Okay, some of this doesn't make sense unless I'm reading it wrong. Approaching the islands will be tricky, so we want to do it with plenty of daylight. We'll go first thing in the morning. I don't know how we'd gotten here without GPS. Mum said the North Star is like ancient GPS. It's called Polaris because it's over the North Pole, and I already know how to find it. 2 stars with a bigger, dipper point at it. They're easy to find at home because we can't see as many other stars with all the city lights. But out at sea, there are so many stars, it's harder to find constellations. It's so beautiful. I've taken dozens of pictures that's all time at night. Like when I wake up and can't fall back to sleep. Okay, so there's a picture there. Mum said that if it's cloudy and you can't see stars, a magnetic compass will tell you where north approximately is, but the North Star is better because it points exactly north. Pretty cool, but I'm glad we have a GPS. Okay, that's cool. Can I get rid of you? Thank you. Right, bye-bye. Right, north. What? Are you telling me I have to flip in? Oh, I'm gonna have to, won't I? Jesus. North. There. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, like, figure this out. I don't know what I did, but I did it. Okay, apparently that's north. I don't know. Okay, hello, bye-bye. Can I shut the door? Do I even want to do it this way? Saving. Oh, thank you. Can I swim? Am I good at swimming? No. Right, are there any collectibles? Pretty sure there might be. Okay, I'm not going to wander off the beaten track. Sorry, I'm not going to wander off onto the beaten track. Where can I go? I feel like this is a bit like Subnautica, but just like land version. If that even makes any sense. Hi, I've arrived. Does anybody need saving? Hello. Right, got that. Does that mean something's going to kill me? Good. Puzzle piece. Jigsaw. We're playing Saw now. Okay, right. I don't know if there's actually things in this game that actually attack me or anything. I doubt that there is. From the screenshots that I saw on the game, a lot of it's just, there we go. A lot of it's just, finding things and puzzle pieces and all the rest of it. Although saying that, I don't actually know much of the game. As I did say, I haven't really looked into the game fully. The controls are a bit weird. Right, so... Can I take the puzzle piece, please? Thank you. So, apparently, there's puzzle pieces to find. I don't know what for, but we're going to find out. We're going to have fun. Oh, hello. Oh, well, you're not really falling off, are you? Oh, can I? Okay, so I reckon this is beautiful. Look at the water. Just look at it. Oh, it's so pretty. Right. So what am I doing? So solar system. Solar panel. That's it. Ah, I see. Do I have plonk? Ah, I see. Right. July the 4th, 1915. What? 9:15 p.m. After dinner, Dad asked if he'd seen anything yet. If I'd seen anything yet, and that would tell me if the Earth doesn't go off to infinity in all directions. I hadn't, but it seemed obvious to me that it couldn't. If it did, at sunset the sun would crash into the Earth. Dad said ancient people had different ideas. Some believed the sun disappeared behind distant mountains in the west and travelled out of sight to rise in the east. Others believed the gods hid the sun in a boat at sunset and ferried it across the ocean at night to rise it again from the east. I quite like that logic. But if you thought the sun was hidden in a boat all night, what could convince you that that was wrong? Dad told me to look at the photos I'd taken of the stars. Sun god Ra in his boat. Ah. So you're going based on Egyptian gods, I'm assuming? I knew Polaris didn't move in the sky, but the rest did, and that's what Dad told me to look at. Comparing photos, I could see the star closest to Polaris moved in a little circle around it. Every star seemed to move in a circle around Polaris, and the farther away the star was from it, the bigger its circle. Most stars were far enough away from Polaris that you couldn't see the whole circle because for part of it. The star dipped below the horizon. And with constellations, if some of their stars travelled in boats across the sea after setting, or went behind mountains to travel around them, their trajectories during that period will be different from the other stars in their constellation. That always stayed in the sky. That would mess them up. It was far more reasonable to think that everything in the sky travelled in complete circles and the horizon just stopped you from seeing it all. So the Earth couldn't go on forever in all directions. This also means there was space all around the Earth, just not above it, for the stars to be able to go all around. When I explained this to Dad, he was impressed. He said this was a reasonable argument to show the Earth's size was finite. Now could I show that the Earth isn't flat? July 5th, 7:30 a.m. At first light, just before sunrise, we weighed anchor and started the engines, but it still takes a couple of more hours to get to the wretched islands. Dad's letting Gilliam steer. When we got on course, Dad asked me if I had seen anything to show that the Earth wasn't flat. I hadn't, and yet again, he said to get my camera, but this time, look at the pictures I'd taken of the islands. I had lots. Some were just tops of island peaks, and others showed more. Dad asked me to describe the differences. I told him the islands look bigger as we get closer, and we can see more of them too. Mum asked what I meant by seeing more, and I showed her how when we were far away, we only saw the mountaintops because the horizon blocked our view of the bottoms. That was it. When you get farther from something, it gets smaller, but also the horizon blocks more and more of its bottom. That would only happen if the ocean is curved. I figured that problem was solved, but Dad said not quite. A few minutes later, the sun rose, and when it was halfway up, he asked me why the horizon line across the sun wasn't curved. I said the Earth is so big that it just looks straight for so short a distance across from the sun. Dad shook his head. Early people didn't know the Earth was so big, and even if they thought it might be, they believed if the world was round enough to block the bottom of the mountains just a couple of dozen kilometres away, it would be round enough to see if the curve across the sun. They said the ocean blocked the bottom of the mountains and ships because the Earth was curved a bit here and there locally, but the star horizon line at sunrise and sunset proves the Earth was whole as a flat. Sid teased me, "Nice try, Kai. You've got a long way to go to prove to Dad that the Earth is a sphere. This is just the beginning." I don't know what he means, but I think I'm going to find out soon. July 5th, 9:45 a.m. There's a lot of reading. We're still sailing the rest of the way to the wretched islands. I just argued with Dad that because the horizon covers the base of the mountain, that means the Earth is round, and a straight horizon across the sun makes it look flat. So it's tied between the round and flat Earth views. Except not really, because the straight horizon doesn't prove anything. A basketball looks very round, but when you put your eye close to it, the edge looks a lot straighter. The horizon just looks straight because we're so close to the Earth's surface. Okay. Horizon of basketball appears flat to the tiny insect. Ah, that makes sense. Dad seemed pleased by my argument, but he said ancient people had other reasons to believe the Earth was flat. If the Earth was a sphere, then people on the exact opposite side, which the Greeks called antipods, would be upside down with their feet above their heads. Why wouldn't they fall off? And what was keeping the whole world from falling down? Dad asked if I could think of a way to make sense of this without talking about modern ideas like gravity. They were very strange ideas. If they thought a round Earth would fall, wouldn't they think a flat Earth would also fall? But Dad said they believed the flat Earth floated on water underneath it, like a giant piece of wood. Or maybe the ground just went down forever. But a round Earth couldn't float in empty space without something holding it up. And surely antipods couldn't stand upside down under the Earth. Flat Earth floating on water. Oh, I see. So we're like in a. They think basically we're in like a little disc of water. In fact, there's theories of this on YouTube. If you go look it up, I might stick one down in the description below from BuzzFeed. That guy on there, he makes a very good point. That we're basically in a disc. Disc like this, so round disc. Do I have anything to prove? So take the top of my lamp here, right? So let's say in this circly bit here, this clear bit. Okay, it's not on. Right. Okay. No, that was not a good idea. So this round bit here is basically the disc that we sit in, and in the middle is where the Earth is. Where our land is where we obviously live and all the rest of it, and everything else is made out of water. So, if you think about it, a lot of people suggest that the whole landing on the moon and everything was actually fake. It was made in Hollywood, and according to some researchers, I think it was the Japanese who were trying to shoot something, but they couldn't break it. So they think that we're in a disc that is like a dome, or like if the world is round, it's a dome and we can't actually exit it. That's why the whole theory of man on the moon is actually fake, and all the rest of it. It's to be honest, this is actually bringing up very good points, and I really enjoy this. So if you do have any theories yourself, please put them down in the comments below. I would be absolutely interested to find out about them. To be honest, for me personally, I'm not really to or for either arguments. I'm quite down in the middle, simply because I don't have any knowledge myself on flat Earth or round Earth, so I wouldn't be able to argue, and even if I did try, I would probably fail it anyway. I need to spend time thinking about this, but later, right now, we're just minutes away from the wretched islands. Okay, July the 5th, 6:15 p.m. The pier is in good shape for being over 70 years old. The army built it in World War II. Dad says any older artifacts will be mostly around in volcanic caves he read about in army records. Gilliam says he saw large ruins above ground, but that was on the far side of the wretched islands, and we don't know how to get there. But if the native Caribs and the later pirates did, there must be a way. For now, all we see are leftovers from the US Army days, like bridges, cables running overhead, a small building just up from the pier, and small shelters. Mum thinks they were to cover food stores and other supplies, since there were also empty barrels and crates around. There isn't much left here in the old building besides a bunch of cables and clamps and some funny boxes the army left behind. The boxes don't lock anything, and you just push a big button to open them, but it only works when they're plugged into electricity. We brought a lot of solar panel arrays with us for free power and save fuel for our diesel-powered electric generator. and Sid hooked up the boxes one at a time. They were all empty. We might use them to keep stuff in though. Up on a lookout point is a statue or monument of a globe. It's covered with little square holes and it has a handle we couldn't open at first. One of the many holes had a peg in it, and there was another peg on the ground. We figured out that sticking the second peg in a certain hole released the lock so the handle could pull it open to reveal a secret compartment. It was empty, but Sid saw that he could switch the linkages inside to whichever two peg holes we wanted for the lock. Just for fun, I found a couple of figurines in a box of junk I have, attached them to the pegs while Sid changed the lock to open when one peg was placed in the Caribbean where we were, and the other at its antipode. We'll probably hide something in there later. There were a couple of empty cans of beans in the shack, and they didn't look 70 years old to me. Dad frowned when he saw them, saying it looked like someone had been here against the law. We didn't get to explore the rest of this little island piece today. There are lots of cliffs everywhere, and Mum and Dad wants us to do it all together to be safe. Today we just unloaded equipment and supplies, temporarily setting up in the shack just from the pier. I want to sleep outside under the stars, but Dad says he wants walls around us tonight. He was looking at the old food cans when he said it. I think it really bothers him that people had been here recently. I need to find one more puzzle piece. I didn't see... Okay, so there's one. Where's the other? On whatever it is. Right, so what I'm going to do... There's no way this way there. No. Right, so I'm going to go back. I'm already playing 25 minutes of this, and all I've been doing is reading. Right, so, which is alright with me. Can I... No. Okay, never mind. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this way. It's a good thing that I found it, I guess. Oh, this water looks so beautiful. It's really hot here in Britain at the moment, or London. And I can't even tell you what the degrees is, but it's so hot. And that water makes me want to jump right in it so that I can feel nice and cool. This does not look promising. Oh my god, am I going to die? I can't jump. There must be... Ah, there's a bridge over there. Right, so I was going to say, there must be a way over. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. I want a smashy smashy. Anything in it? Oh, I found the last puzzle piece. Right, so now that I've found it, this area seems massive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to put the puzzle piece back in there. Ah, interesting. Now what? Clicky. Ooh, the antipod unlocks the globe. Ah, okay. So it's got to be this side somewhere. Are you telling me that's literally it? Or are you telling me it could... Oh, it can go anywhere. Right. So, she said it's literally right across. So, from the middle, one... Well, technically it would be one down, wouldn't it? So it'd be here. I think it would be about there. I think. I could be completely wrong. I mean, that looks about right. I'm smart. Right, okay. Oh, there's more reading. Oh, and a key. Ooh. Right. We've got to do some more reading. I love reading. July 5th, 9 PM. Unpacking the boat and setting up camp. Let me just get comfortable because my legs are getting sweaty. Setting up camp all day. I had lots of time to think about antipods. I finally understood the ancients thought down was fixed direction in the universe and had nothing to do with where the Earth was. For us, that direction happens to be towards the ground, but for anyone on the other side of the world, that direction would be away from the ground and they'd fall off. But if down instead of meant towards the center of the Earth, then the antipods wouldn't fall off. No matter where you were on the surface of the spherical Earth, the down direction for you would be towards the ground beneath your feet, because that's the direction of the center of the Earth. Ah, this is a very interesting game. This is very detailed. The developers have really thought about this. I really enjoy this, even though most of it's just reading, but that's not the point. I asked Dad what he thought about redefining down like this. He said there was an ancient Greek philosopher named Anaximander. Don't ask me how to pronounce the name, I wouldn't be able to. who had done a similar thing. Interestingly, and Anna, I'm just going to call it Anna. Anaximander, I don't know. Anaximander. I think I literally just said it. Believed the Earth was flat, but based on the trajectories of the stars, he had to come to the conclusion that there was empty space all around the flat Earth. So the Earth was freely floating in space at the center of the universe. It had no tendency to fall down, because down meant towards the center of the universe, and the Earth was already at the center of the universe. It had no reason to move in any preferred direction from there. Any choice of direction to move along outwards from the center would be arbitrary. There's really like scientific words in this, and I'm not a scientist. I wouldn't know any of this. I told Dad that someone could have said the same thing for the spherical Earth. It's already at the center of the universe, so it can't fall down anymore. And antipodes on its surface wouldn't fall off either. They would fall down towards the center of the universe. Dad agreed, and he said tomorrow was a good time to introduce me to Aristotle, one of the greatest of Greek philosophers. July the 5th, 11:45 p.m. I woke up a while ago and couldn't get back to sleep. Too much going on in my head. I went outside and found Dad on the porch looking through binoculars. It wasn't pitch black, not with the stars and a quarter moon just above the horizon, but it was still too dark to see much. When he noticed me, he said he thought he saw a light out to sea. He said it was nothing but seems worried. And since I was awake, Dad said he'd tell me about Aristotle's physics. Yeah, physics. Which people throughout Europe believed for almost 2,000 years, and how it was similar to my thinking today. Aristotle believed everything in the world around us was made of combinations of 4 elements: earth, water, air, and fire. Kind of like solids, liquids, gas, and heat, respectively. The natural tendency of the element Earth was to fall towards the center of the universe. Water also falls, but not as fast as Earth, which is why water, like an ocean, lies on top of Earth, even though they're both heavy. Air is a light element and wants to rise, which is why you release air underwater, it bubbles up. So air forms a blanket around Earth and water. Fire is the lightest and rises fastest, like how a flame goes up, even if you hold a candle upside down. Aristotle said all natural motion was either towards the center of the universe, down, or away from the center of the universe, up. Down, up. The tendency of Earth causes its particles to arrange themselves symmetrically around the center of the universe. The ball that results our planet Earth, and since Earth is already at the center of the universe, it has no reason to move anymore, so it's stationary at the center. I pointed out a glaring problem. The sun, moon, and stars don't move toward or away from the center of the universe. They move in circles around and round. For our point of view, Dad said Aristotle believed heavenly bodies were made of a 5th element called ether. Anything made of ether is divine and moves in perfect circles, never stopping or changing its behavior. Aristotle said the universe had an inner terrestrial realm made of the 4 elements and an actual celestial realm made of ether. Phew! I'll have to think about this some more, but I'm sleepy. The middle of the night isn't the best time to exercise my brain. July 6th, 1 p.m. The Wretched Islands are complicated. It's almost 2 islands, major and minor, but each is actually a cluster of little islands, bits close to it together, with treacherous cliffs and water between them. We're on Wretched Minor, and Dad believes the Caribs built rope bridges to get around safely, but he's not sure he'll find any evidence to prove it after more than 3 centuries. The Army Corps of Engineers built their own bridges here for World War II. They're still here, but Mum says it will take us days to repair them. They are half concrete, half wooden, where the wooden half can pivot with a hand crank. Ah, so that's what that thing is over there. To retract, like closing a drawbridge in case enemies attacked, and also connect with different places. And overheard what looked like zip lines for fast travel, or maybe a way to retreat fast in an emergency. Dad said the army built outposts on Wretched Major too, but it took a year with modern ships and equipment. There's no way primitive boats, or even one like ours, could land there because of the cliffs and the fast current and dangerous rocks around the coastline. but army records show there were found large ruins there, with Gilliam saw for himself when he shipwrecked on Wretched Major. How anyone centuries ago could get there from here to build anything is a big mystery Dad wants to solve. The mystery on my mind is Astriel's physics. It seems to explain how things fall or rise, and also explain how the Earth could be round, yet it says the Earth is sitting still at the centre of the whole universe. I wish I could find some other direct evidence that proves the Earth is round, without also leading me to such bizarre conclusions. What could it be? Okay, so I've got this key, whatever it is. Okay, so, considering I can't get over that way, I'm assuming I have to go this way. There is... Oh, there's actually no way this way. Oh, okay, good, because I think I remember saying this in one of my Creepy Terror videos, that, I get really stressed out when there's, like, too many pathways in a game. It stresses me out, and I have no idea as to why. Okay, question, though. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Where did I come from? Where'd you go? Where'd you come from, Cat Nigel? I came from over there, didn't I? There was no second, like, pathway, was there? I'm confused. Okay, let's just, excuse me. Can I climb? Oh, I can. Ooh, fancy, fancy, fancy. Apparently I'm not allowed up. Ooh, hold on. I'm a bit confused. Hold on. Let me just pop back down for a second. Let me see what was on the other side. Oh, absolutely nothing. Well, that was a waste of time. Okay, so... Ooh, electricity. So this is one massive game of puzzles I've come to realise. Okay. So, let's have a look at this then. Oh, so what, I have to move it or something? Okay, let me see. So what, I can't seem to move it. Okay, let me think for a sec. Whoopsie, wrong one. Can I stick a key in here? No? Can I hack you down? Right, so did I get anything? I'm assuming... Sorry, started there for a second. I'm assuming that the journal is meant to give you, like, hints of what to do and things. What I'm gonna do is, I do believe there might be a pathway back right down to where I got off from the boat. So I'm gonna go all the way back down there, and I'm just gonna have a little looky because I just don't want to miss anything. I'm back down where the boat is, if I just show you. So that's where the boat is. Right, I'm gonna go across here because I don't actually know what is over here, if there even is an over here. I doubt that there is. Oh no, there is. Give me a sec, I'm getting stuck on rocks. Where am I going? Oh, it actually leads to nowhere. Okay, that's fair enough. I thought that there might have been... Okay, so it all just comes round to one circle anyway. Okay, so pretty much the next place is where I just was. In all matters of facts. So, I'm back here. I don't know really what to do. Oh, okay, so that just does the exact same thing I was just on. I'm assuming I have to figure this out. But I'm going to leave that for the next episode. I'm really interested in this game. I'm really glad that I bought it. I'm really glad that I actually took the chance to it. It is a fantastic looking game. I really like the puzzles in it as well. It's got very interesting points as well. So I like the fact it's quite scientific-y as well. I'm not a big fan on science, but when you're coming up with like points like these, I do find it quite interesting, especially when it's like about Earth and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this episode here. So if you did like it, please click that like button down below, and while you're there, please click the subscribe button so you're told when my next Odyssey, the Invention of Science, has been uploaded.